Welcome back to Interjections. We've got two more Inter wins to talk about, but they're only by one goal margins this week, so maybe they'll be sufficient to get some good complaints in. I'm your host, Andrew. Jay, Irfan, and Miko with me. Jay, what's going on, man?
Yeah, not much. Just enjoying the recent victories and uh, winning lots and lots of money by following Jay's fantastic betting tips. So stay, look forward to that as well.
Yes, we all can't wait to see your most recent bet come to fruition later this week. Miko, what's up?
Yeah, it's pretty boring by these days already in the league, but let's see. I'm ready.
Yes, we can have a conversation if we have time about, at what point you just admit the Scudetto race is over. Irfan, happy daylight savings to you.
Thanks. Enjoying the dubs. Team is playing really well. A couple of scrappy one goal wins, which not really used to nowadays, but we'll take it. So doing well.
Yes, a bit of a change from the course. We were just steamrolling everyone 4-0. Now we have to go back to reality and start beating them by one goal. It's like we're Juve or something. So we'll start. We have two matches to recap, Genoa and Bologna. We'll start with the Genoa match. So both games had similar parallels in terms of maybe the lack of second half performance, but there were some good things in the first half we can pick through. And you know where I'm going with this. We have to start with Irfan, your boy, your favorite child goes and breaks the deadlock with a great combination team goal to get the scoring started against Genoa. It was maybe against the run of play a little bit because there was that great chance Genoa had with the header in front of net. Of course, Retegui blew a chance, but I just need to give you the floor, Irfan, to gloat.
Yeah, I mean, just what a finish! What a world class finish! What great setup play! What a great run towards the box! I mean, you got to hand it to this kid. I mean, he's scrappy. He's everywhere. He usually doesn't find himself going forward enough to be in good goal scoring positions based on the way he plays for Inter. But his last goal, I think people were saying, was against Inter when he was still at I think Empoli, and so he clearly has the ability to score goals. I think he scores more goals, plays more advanced for his national team. Um, and I know we had been talking a few episodes about how there's not a lot of players left on the Inter squad who haven't scored. So in that match, you're right, it was against the run of play. But in that match, watching that combination play with Asllani finding himself in a position to shoot, and then what a shot in, completely unstoppable by the keeper. So great result. I was obviously super ecstatic that he scored. I was happy for him. I was happy to silence all the haters who've been criticizing this kid for a long, long time. I'm sure we'll get into what happened later in the match because, that's just how we operate. But at that moment, we were flying high, and I was super excited that he got on the score sheet.
Was Irfan's mic cutting low there for anyone else, or is that just a me problem?
Sounded fine to me.
Okay, I might be an internet thing on my end. I'll just keep going. Yeah, as Irfan mentions now, so there are only two really first-team contributors who have not scored a goal for us yet this year. Pavar, who has come close a few times, and podcast favorite Davy Klaassen, who I just know it's coming soon. So last episode, we spent a lot of time talking about life after Lautaro from a penalty standpoint, and we didn't have to wait long to see what it would look like because after a atrocious penalty call, we can get into it. We have, we win a penalty, and the man they asked to step forward is possibly the only man in the team with worse stats than Lautaro, Alexis Sanchez. He buries a penalty. We go up 2-0 early. Jay, talk to me about that penalty. In my opinion, absolutely not a penalty. I think the referee from the match was suspended by the FIGC based on his performance in this match. Curious if you disagree and can argue in favor of that being a penalty, and any thoughts on Sanchez being tapped as the new deputy for Hakan on penalties, at least for 1 week.
Yeah, it was a farcical penalty. Let's be real. Barella even came out and said this week after we beat Bologna that he basically apologized for simulation. So I don't think anyone can really argue that was one of the worst penalties I've seen us being given in a long time. As for the conversion of the penalty, yeah, no complaints. I guess I was a little bit bemused when I saw Sanchez, of all people, stepping up to the spot, but it was just refreshing to see him dispatch it into the corner, and he applied a little bit of like this kind of cutting technique where he hit it just with the slight outside of his foot to get it to veer to the right. This is the kind of technique that we don't see Lautaro apply, and it was just so, like I said, refreshing to see him put it away with such power and precision. Lautaro needs to take a lesson from that. And overall, as Irfan mentioned, the goal from Asllani was very nice. The more I see him, the more I think I prefer him playing a bit further up as a CM rather than a DM. That's kind of both a acknowledgement of his skills and also a bit of a bit of the opposite, a bit of a I guess confirmation on my part at least that I don't really see a really successful long-term role for him as a regista. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. But as a CM, I think he has more to offer because he's an articulate passer, and I think he'd be better served as a vice Mkhitaryan, to be honest, than a vice Hakan. But whatever, that's another debate for another day. But yeah, his finish was excellently taken. Again, Lautaro, take a lesson. Just smashed nice and high into the roof of the net with power and authority. And despite my feelings in general about his future as a regista or any of that kind of stuff, I'm still very happy that he got his goal. One other player that I want to highlight on that game was Augusto. I like this guy. I like that he's such a willing runner and a willing combatant. He's always in the duels, man. He's always like fighting with people. When I say that, I mean is like involved in a lot of physical duels. Always going in with these shoulder to shoulder kind of one-on-ones with his defender, and such a workhorse as well. So hairline, bit of a disaster, but you can't fault the way he plays.
So we're going up 2-0 at the half, and then things take a drastic turn in terms of quality of performance. Genoa claw one back, so De Vrij goes to clear a ball, clears it right to the player on Genoa, who kind of volleys it from long range into the nets, and the performance didn't pick up from there, Miko. It really deteriorated into a sense of we were defending the lead, we were managing the game. I don't think Genoa necessarily had many great scoring chances, but we lost pretty much all teeth in what we were doing. We didn't counter them. Nothing really happened in the second half, in a sense, compared to what we're used to anyway. Maybe we're just spoiled after so many 4-0 dominations. But Miko, curious, like, what changed in the second half? Do you think this was a case of managing the game, or do you think there was fatigue? What do you think happened here?
I think it could have been maybe a bit of both. I think we probably didn't expect Genoa to come so hard at us, and then we couldn't pick it up at any point when they came on all over us, and then they scored and we couldn't pick it up from there either. And it was definitely a lot harder than we used to in a few weeks because of those great results earlier, and it required a lot of like fighting and sacrificing and a lot of work to get the win, which was very well, I don't know, maybe like you mentioned earlier, a bit like Juve style. They just defend, and it was a bit same in this match. In the second half, the first half was nothing like like the second half. I think in the first half, Retegi had the chance, but I don't think they were like in control too much in the first half. But well, time to time, but nothing major. But then when we scored, then we like took over, and it looked like it will be like the past is 4-0 wins, but then that wasn't the case. But yeah, I I liked that we put a good fight there and fought till the end. And Jay mentioned Augusto. I think he was the, I don't know, was he the man of the match, but he's like the symbol of this fighting, because he's never stopping and always putting his body on the line. And I like this guy also. But yeah, in the end, this match, I think it was kind of good reminder for the team that it's not this smooth sailing for the rest of the season, but there's actually real matches you need to play. If you want to win matches, you need to put the work to get the win. And I don't know, should I say luckily, but we managed to do that against Genoa despite this much more difficult second half. And I don't know, I don't think we conceded too much in the end in this match either, like in most matches. But it was much more difficult to play against Genoa. They play pretty well when they want to, or when they have this, I don't know, spirit or something. But they really put us in difficulties.
Yeah, and I think part of that was also, I mean, we did rotate quite a bit. There was Hakan being gone, and Turan being gone, and there was no Bastoni for that match as well. So, we're kind of managing, I guess, the workload, I would say, of our team with the compressed kind of schedule. So I think some of that was probably related to that. But you're right, Genoa deserves credit because they're a scrappy team. They played pretty well, and they definitely gave us a run for our money. And part of it, I think, was a little bit self-inflicted. When you're up 2-0, you really kind of just have to shut down the game. Can't be giving them a lot of chances by, poor clearances and whatnot. But you also kind of have to be prepared at that point that the other team's going to really try to press. And I think we were a little lackadaisical on that, if I had to criticize us at all. A couple of interesting facts about this match, though, were apparently this was the 300th Serie A match for Inzaghi, and he has become the most winning Italian, or the most winning coach in Serie A history for the first 300 matches, well over Ancelotti, who had 172. I guess Inzaghi, now out of the 300 after that match, he had 179 wins. And then the other thing that was interesting to me was that penalty goal by Sanchez was his 37th Serie A goal. And he's tied with Vidal now as the second best Chilean scorer in Serie A, behind probably a player no one would guess is the most scored Chilean in Serie A. I don't know if any
Is
of
it
you
Bam
want to take a
Bam?
crack. Huh?
Is it Bam Bam?
No.
Oh, I have absolutely no idea then.
Marcelo Salas.
No, it's Pinilla.
Pinilla with
Who?
tattoos all over his. Mauricio Pinilla, the
Mauricio Pinilla.
What?
Yeah.
convict-looking guy from Cagliari, and can't remember where else he played, Palermo or something. But he has tattoos like all over his face and stuff.
Yeah. And he also has 47 Serie A goals. So there you go. You learned something today.
Didn't he play for Atalanta at some point?
No.
Yeah. Actually, he's played 24 games for Atalanta. He was at the Inter for one season. Didn't play any games.
Pinilla was at Inter. How did I miss that?
Yeah.
It was like a youth?
2003. Yeah, I guess so. 2003 and 2004.
And I have zero recollection of that.
How many goals was it, Irfan?
For him, he had 47.
Oh, Zamorano only scored 25. All right. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I think look, that second half was something straight out of the banter era. It was really just bad, and I feel like I'm glad we'll get into it in the Bologna game, but I am kind of glad that we had a bit of a awakening, rude awakening in the Genoa game, that we are capable of still suffering. And to be honest, I felt like we actually started a bit slowly in a couple of the recent games against Lecce, against Atalanta. Of course, we had a scare with Charles de Ketelare scoring a disallowed goal. And Atalanta were just better than us for the first 15, 20 minutes or whatever it was. Um, and Genoa had the better chances until Asllani scored his goal. Goodmanson missed an open net. And I think what we're doing is essentially strategically taking the second half off for the most part. We are deliberately not really pushing all that hard. We're deliberately defending or putting the focus on just defending the lead rather than attacking. And I guess at the end of the day, you can say, I don't like saying this kind of stuff, but you can, the empirical evidence says we are good enough to get away with it. We are
Yeah,
good enough
yeah.
to kind of coast in the second half and not, lose or not concede too many goals, let alone too many chances, let alone goals. And as much as you kind of hate to see it as a fan, when you're playing against a fairly manageable opponent like Genoa, and then the team just starts essentially doing nothing for 45 minutes, it is frustrating. But like I said, the evidence does suggest that we are capable of managing it. So I guess when after the heat of the moment, after the game is said and done, you can't be too upset. But yeah, that second half, man, was like I said, that was straight out of banter. It just reminded me of being, uh, you know, 1-1 at home against like a Sassuolo or something, like nervous as hell that you're going to concede, and Handanovic is making miraculous saves to to secure the precious 1 point or whatever. So um,
I think the difference, we can't say Panther here, because in Panther we wouldn't have won this match. So,
yeah,
so
exactly. The scoreline was the difference, but the way you kind of it was kind of, it reminded me of Empoli, the 2-1 Empoli game, where we're just like, even though the chances they were making were not as dangerous, just being under the cosh for that long was slightly stressful. I think as you guys alluded to, we've become spoilt. I've become a spoilt little teenage girl now. Any minor inconvenience sends me into hysterics. So I can't accept Genoa, doing that. So
It is funny though that we're all talking about the relative poor performance. If you look at the X goals, which I know we do on this podcast from time to time, it was 3-1 in favor of Inter. We didn't allow a ton of chances. It was just a sloppy, incoherent game in the second half. The best comparison I can think of is the second half in the away Juve fixture, where it's like two prized fighters are, they're late in a match and neither one's letting the other get a good shot off. There's kind of going close, hugging, like keeping each other at arm's length. So it it wasn't the standard we expect, and you've all seen the stat by now of us not conceding a goal in the last 15 minutes of a match all season. They flash that in seemingly every game now, and it continues to be true. I mean, we just do a good job clamping down on opponents in the second half, and the quality of chances we tend to allow aren't great. And most of the goals we've conceded over the past month, 2 months, are the result of individual errors rather than team breakdowns. Like, I would put this goal mostly on De Vrij, his failed clearance. You can point to the other players and say they should have been there to further head the ball along, but it's, De Vrij did a poor job clearing the ball, and that directly led to this goal. These aren't team breakdowns, and once again, I just think that's an encouraging sign, because there's a good foundation, there's good roots here that we can consistently rely on when we're in a tough situation.
I wanna make a quick comment on the penalty call. I
Are you
didn't
going to
get,
argue this was actually a penalty?
No, but it was interesting that when Jay, or who was it who mentioned about the Barella comment after Bologna match, that he apologized for the dive, and then I started like thinking that what is he apologizing for? Because was it because of the dive that he got the penalty, or because I'm a bit I'm confused why he got the penalty in the first place, and how the dive like had any effect on the call. It was a bit strange to me, but yeah, I don't know. For me it wasn't a penalty, but I'm like, I started to think why was it called, because it was so clear that Barella had shot released, and I don't know, was the ball already like blocked by the keeper when the defender who was it came to Barella. It was like a late tackle, but I don't know. I don't know what could be the reason why
It was
the
just the
penalty was called.
just a follow through of the player, the defender, clipping Barella. But as you said, it was
Yeah,
after Barella had already shot. So um, yeah, a ridiculous penalty, one of the worst I've seen given all season. Speaking of Barella, man, that kind of leads us nicely into Bologna, if we might. I mean,
I knew
like
you'd want to talk about this.
you know, that chance that he had against against Genoa, the one that led to the penalty. I mean, he needs to just sweep that with his left foot into the bottom far corner. Instead he's he takes a single worst shot selection possible, which is the outside of his right foot to the near post. I mean, it's like I said, the single worst option you can possibly take there, and he doesn't even get it on target. That ball actually went out into the side netting. He didn't even force the keeper into a save. So he followed that up with arguably an even worse miss in the Bologna game, and yeah, that guy should have 10 goals more than he has as an Inter player if he just managed to bury some of these you know relatively easy chances. But what can we say about his one-on-one finishing at this point? It's just been historically poor at the club, and this rate, it doesn't really seem like he'll improve that much at this stage in his career. But one can still hope. But just on the Bologna game, if we are moving to it, I want to say that I was actually extremely impressed in the first half. I mentioned earlier talking about Genoa that I was grateful for the kind of reminder that we can still be vulnerable at times. I thought the Bologna game was evidence that the guys really woke up, and that first half was really excellent in my opinion. Bologna obviously playing at a really high level right now. On top of that, they hadn't been defeated in 7 games or something like that, and we went to their home and just showed them that, and we just basically outclassed them, despite their aptitude in being able to play at the back. We applied pressure and forced mistakes. We had a lot of these quote unquote high XG chances, like Barella and Damian's chances, and yeah, I thought the first half was one of the best performances. Uh, Actually, better than Lecce, even though we beat Lecce 4-0. And I gotta say, I was impressed. The second half, kind of gone back to, again, parallels with the Genoa game. We we made a decision to take the second half off and just defend the lead. And again, aside from one dangerous Xerxes chance, we were pretty much comfortable for the entirety of the second half as well. So got to give credit to the boys. Excellent performance against Bologna all around.
The miss by Barella was horrible. I don't even think you can compare the penalty he won against Genoa to the miss against Bologna. To not even, he shot the ball right at the keeper from point blank range with all the time in the world. He could have tried slotting it, to the side of the keeper. He could have taken a dribble to try and get the keeper out of position. That was a horrible finish, and I just immediately thought back to a conversation with Sterling from a couple weeks ago of Barella is a just absolutely fantastic midfielder who can't finish. It was horrible. I honestly thought we were going to lose that match after that loss, just because of Bologna's our tough opponent, or yeah, Bologna's our tough opponent. They were playing well. It was it was a back and forth game, and I just didn't think we'd be able to get away with missing that good of a chance, to be honest. And when you look at the X goals for the game, once again, I mean, point 0.6 for Bologna, 0.8 for us. It was a game of thin margins, and we're lucky we were able to recover from that miss because it was a horrible miss.
What a
That's
call
interesting.
from Bisek, though, right?
XG ratings. It's pretty interesting that I'm using this fotmob.com, and it gives us 0.87 and for Bologna 0.79. So it's a bit of a variation between
Okay.
these
Yeah,
stats.
I
But,
follow
yeah.
some Twitter account, and it had 0.82 versus 0.67, so within the same margins,
Okay.
but
Yeah, well, bit different, but yeah, so between the teams a bit around the same difference, which wasn't much. But yeah, but the Barella chance, I think it's about Barella usually he's maybe taking a bit too much time trying to come up with the best solution, and then he, like in this case, he wasted way too much time like placing the ball in front of him. He should have like almost like a one touch it, or at most two touches, but now he took one extra touch, and then Skorupski was already in front of him, and there wasn't too much of an angles anymore left. But of course, the shot on top of that, he shot straight at the keeper, so that wasn't great either. I think he, as opposed to Lautaro, I think he should he should instead go with the faster solution, because sometimes it feels like he doesn't rush it fast enough and ends up like losing the chance, like in this case. In some cases, it seems to work fine, like against Napoli when he dribbled first dribbled the defender and then the goalie. But in this type of chances he had against Bologna, yeah, he should be faster with his decisions.
Irfan, what did you think of the sack goal? A diving header after
Yeah.
a good cross into the box. We've been clamoring for more BSEC playing time, and it's tough when you have a world class center back in front of you in positioning. But it was nice to see him grab a goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. He's what a player, man. He's so exciting to watch. I mean, he's for where he is on the pitch. It's always nice to see him. Get forward. Big guy gets forward. Finds himself in a great position. What a ball by Bastoni. Truly world class. Once again, like when he's on his game like that, I think there are few players who can deliver balls in the way he does. So that was awesome. Great finish as well. Much needed goal, like we talked about already with Bologna. They're a tough team, man. I mean, it's you really got to give them and Mata a lot of credit. I mean, if you talk about a team that overperforms based on kind of the players that they have, I know they have some good quality players. I'm not downplaying that, but the way they play, they're a tough out. I mean, they're so well organized. They attack really well. They have good young talent, fast talent, and they attack fast too. So the goal was much needed. I thought the ball in from Bastoni obviously was probably the highlight, but a great finish too. I mean, he did exactly what you're kind of told to do in that position, right? Like you fully commit, you dive in, and then you head the ball down, and that's exactly what he did. And it was devastating. I mean, there's no way you can stop that play. So it was great. It was an exciting goal. I remember being extremely pumped when we scored that because I knew what it meant um, in this kind of a match.
I also find you sound rough.
Yeah, Irfan's a little hungover this morning. Is that what's going on?
I guess.
Why didn't Bologna play Fabian? He didn't play at all. Was he suspended for the match, or what
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was like kind of interesting given the background. But yeah, I have no idea. Maybe I think he could have maybe slotted well to be like a runner running to our box. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there were times when Bologna had some, movement with Xerxes drawing players out of position.
Yeah,
Even that prick Salamakers, making some decent plays and stuff like this. And but yeah, they could have used like a space attacker like Fabian, but yeah, for whatever reason, Thiago Motta saw not to even give him 10-15 minutes. But whatever.
yeah.
They couldn't trust his loyalty. He's black and blue through and through. So
But I'm looking at the stats of this match, and according to FODMOB, Bologna had 19 shots against our 5. But we had 5 shots and 4 on target, and Bologna had 3 on target. So that's kind of interesting, interesting detail, and it kind of emphasizes our defending in the second half, because in the second half we had no shots at all.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did we even take a single shot? Forget on
No,
target. We didn't have a
no.
single shot? Oh, God.
Yeah, no, no. We had like what was the possession? 34 for us in the second half.
Does that mean we had 0.00 xG in the second half?
Yeah, because everything was 0. And they had 12 shots on the second half, but only 1 on target, and I think that was the Xerxes.
Poor decision by Xerxes. Yeah.
Yeah. One big chance missed for them in the second half.
How did that chance come about to Xerxes? I feel like someone played in a dangerous pass to the forwards, which was intercepted, and then failed to recover the ball.
Irfan, I'll let you defend him.
I don't.
What's your thoughts?
I don't recall that at all. I mean, I don't know what you were watching. Must have been
No recollection.
must have
Denial.
been in
Always.
between.
He's a lawyer. Just deny.
Yeah, I have no recollection of such events happening. Sorry.
But yeah, speaking of Asllani, I think that was maybe the only mistake he made, like a real mistake. I think he came in at our mark or something.
Yeah, it's good that he's being trusted to play more minutes. Like, mistakes will come as part of the territory, especially as part of that position. But
I
overall,
also just don't think Hakan had a full 90 in him, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. So despite going to a tough ground, he's not forcing Hakan to play 90 minutes after just returning from injury or anything like that. He's not doing anything wild like playing Barella as Regista or whatever. He's trusting Asllani to come in and say, hey, we've got the goal. We just need to defend now and hold our shape and not do anything too wild. And I'm trusting you to kind of keep things above the board. And Asllani, like I said, for the most part, other than that one mistake, did that. So overall, I'm happy that he's getting more trust from the coach. If only the coach was willing to kind of play him in a bit more advanced position, that'd make me a lot happier. But whatever.
Yeah, looking at this match, I kept thinking that the first half was such a wasted opportunity. Like, we could have like completely rushed these guys and ended up like being up 3-0. And I know we talked about the Barella chance. Darmian's chance was also really, really badly missed. Like, you really expect him to do a lot better in that situation. The pressing game was on in the first half, and we were making them make mistakes. And they don't usually do that, so that was rare. And then whenever we were able to kind of pressure them into like giving up the ball, and we were in great positions to score, we would just kind of mess up either the final pass or the final shot. So it was one of those weird things where I felt like, we won 1-0. I applaud the defending, especially in the second half, but I really do think that we could have put these guys away by forcing individual errors on their part, which is rare, but I think we got to capitalize on that. And going into kind of the next few matches we're going to have, we have to be a lot more clinical because we're going to be facing teams that, are probably not going to make those individual mistakes. But if they do, we got to put them away.
So
Yeah,
I
kind of
want to.
story of Atletico,
But
isn't it? Like we should have scored. We simply should have scored more, and in this game we weren't made to pay for it. But coming up to Atleti, who knows? Who knows if the one goal will be enough?
okay, I want
Yeah,
to put Miko under the microscope here. So first off, is we haven't mentioned this yet, but we actually did win this game with Lautaro resting for 90 minutes, DeMarco, Pavar all resting, which is great ahead of Atletico. But there's another big takeaway from this match at the end of it, which is Arnautovic crawling off the pitch with another pulled hamstring. Miko, it's time to admit this was a bad signing. This guy can't stay fit. He doesn't score goals when he's on the pitch. Sanchez is clearly above him in the pecking order. Come on, it's time to admit it.
yeah. If if he keeps getting injured, and it's like few weeks now. Well, what can I say? It's not good enough. He needs to be available, and if a player is not available, that's bad for the coach. And yeah, I don't like that either. It was like a half minute before the final whistle, so that was a bit unfortunate. But I don't know, is it the lack of training or keeping your body?
It's because he's old.
Yeah, but look at Mkhitaryan. Look how he plays, how much he plays. He's even older. It's not about the age, but how you keep your body in shape. And of course, Mkhitaryan is probably like a top athlete in terms of like keeping your yourself in shape. And Arnautovic is not that, but yeah, it's
Mkhitaryan is a warrior poet, man. He's
yeah.
I can imagine him wearing like some some Japanese style long flowing kimono as he meditates in the morning. Meanwhile, Arnautovic is still up to 3 a.m. clubbing and playing fucking Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
Wearing a
Vaping at the
Teenage Mutant
club.
Ninja Turtles jumper.
Exactly. Just like
But
just vaping in the car on the way to on the way to training and stuff like that. But yeah,
but yeah, did you see the story of Mkhitaryan, or more like his agent talking how Mkhitaryan ordered a mozzarella and nothing else because Inter
yeah.
said to eat healthy.
Yeah, it's like a slice of tomato and a mozzarella or something.
Yeah, yeah, about Arnautovic, yeah, it came to my mind after this injury that yeah, I have to admit this isn't good for well thinking next season, but even this season, if we need to go with three forwards for an yeah like a more than two weeks or something, it's might be costing us at some point. If we go deep in the Champions League, I think we can manage the league because we don't need too many points anymore to like secure the title mathematically, but yeah, it's not good enough if this guy is like out this much, or at least it looked like he hurt himself in a way that he will be out for quite some time, but we don't know I think they will do the tests tomorrow. I read it somewhere that they aren't doing any tests today, so we will know later how much he's gonna miss. And other one who picked an injury as well was Augusto.
Yeah.
That's maybe even more unfortunate, but at the same time, I think it was more mm, like a preemptive substitution in the halftime to not risk anything, because
Yeah.
I think we need him against Atletico more than we need Arnautovic
No,
because of the wing backs need to have the subs. They usually always sub the wing back, so that hopefully he's gonna be fine at least. But yeah, gotta admit, doesn't look good with Arnautovic at this point. I like his game. I need to keep this stance, but if he's not playing at all or available on the bench, that's bad.
Yeah, the injury for him is a problem also because he definitely seems like a streaky player, somebody who benefits from getting extra reps and getting longer playing time and getting a bit more, tread on his tires. And so when he's
Confidence
out,
too.
yeah, confidence, exactly. So when he's out like this, it's like, it's rough. But like Miko said, I think we'll be okay. We have a pretty big lead in the league. Obviously, Atletico coming up is, we'll talk about that a little bit right now. But given our lead in the league, I think we'll be okay, even if he's out for a couple of weeks or even a month or so. Jay, could you take us through all of the different kind of calculations on when we could possibly win the league, what needs to happen week by week, and maybe how many points Juve will probably drop? So it would just make me feel a lot better if we really knew what week we were going to win the league, and based on how many points. Maybe if you could take us through those calculations, that'd be great.
I don't even know how many games there are left, to be honest with you. I'm the kind of guy that follows the league kind of just game by game. The March onwards, just head down, and then every now and again I look at the table and I'm like, oh shit, there's only 10 games left. There's only we're already halfway through the season, so I don't know. I honestly cannot tell you how many games we have left. Or how many points we need to mathematically secure the title or any of that kind of stuff. That's not my expertise. But shall we move on to Atletico?
Yeah, let's do this, because for the past 3 weeks, everything this podcast has done has had one eye forward to this Atletico match. It's a big one.
Sorry, I want to comment, just quick comment on the Bologna match.
Me go. I just had such a good prelude going. All right.
sorry. Well,
no, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that Jay referred to this a bit, that I liked a lot our second half in this match, in a sense that it felt like Inzaghi, he had a plan how to do the subs, and he did the subs no matter how it looked on the pitch, and it didn't look good on the pitch at the hour mark when he did the subs, and he took out Çalhanoğlu, he took out was it Thuram, and then Mkhitaryan as well, and it was like a
dead on 60 minutes and 0 seconds when they started, when they came on. I made sure to check the time. It was an hour dead.
Yeah, and it was like, it feels like it's a bit of a mockery against the whole league that this match, this Bologna-Inter, Bologna being like a super hot team in this league, and in a away match we just rotate players whatever we want, how we planned it, no matter how it looks on the pitch, and we still get away with a win, and we just march forward, and we had other plans here, so we just rotate if we need to, and we still win these matches. So that was kind of cool by Inzaghi, how he managed this match, and also like a kudos to the team, how they managed. They in the end they didn't concede almost, like few chances by single mistakes, but in general the defending was great, and everyone did their job, and even Barella came out at 80 minutes, so it was again the Asllani, Klaas and Fratesi midfield there for the last 15 minutes, and they did their shift and came out victorious after that. So I need to give credit to the whole team for this, and Inzaghi, of course. But yeah, let's move to Atletico now.
All right. Well, we can just start talking about Atletico. I don't have it in me anymore. This game's, we're all looking forward to this game. We've all had one eye on this going for the past few weeks, because we know realistically, if we lose to Atletico here, there's not much left in the season. The Scudetto race is over. We have a real shot of winning the Champions League if we can get through Atletico. There's, Bayern's having a down year. Barca's having a down year. This isn't your typical European season, and we're not a typical Inter side. We're better than usual, or maybe better than ever. So lots of ways to approach this. I want to point out one thing I noticed while looking at Atletico recent fixtures. Look at the run of form Atletico is on heading into this match. that after they lost to us, had a 2-2 draw, got bounced 3-0 on a cup match, and then yesterday they lost 2-0. So they have one win since they last played us, and they're not playing well. Compare that to us. We haven't dropped points since. You should be confident, but I don't know. It's the part of this that worries me is just are we going to be able to get a goal? Because I think if we get a goal, this fixture is over. I don't think Atletico are going to be able to get two against us. But, Lautaro and Thuram not being wasteful, which was a problem in the first match, that's what I'm most nervous about heading into this return leg. What are you guys most concerned about as you eye up the trip to Madrid?
I think I'm mostly worried about that it's played in Madrid, because when I look at Atletico Madrid's home record, it's not too bad. Because while you said they haven't won much, but they played away matches quite a lot. They won against Real Betis at home a week ago, and then the last home match was against Las Palmas. That was before the first leg. They won 5-0, and then before that, okay, it's Copa del Rey. They lost to Athletic at home, but in La Liga, they won Raya, Valenciano, Valencia, and Sevilla. Okay, Sevilla was Copa del Rey, but they mostly won at home compared to the away matches. So maybe that's my biggest concern, that how good they are at home compared to how they play in away matches.
So
what about
Jay,
you guys?
Jay, as you look at this game, how confident are you in our ability to go in? We already know what your prediction is for this match. You as debuted on Jay's hot betting tips, you're thinking this is going to be a 1-1. So what makes you confident we're going to be able to grab a goal here?
I think we just play a much better brand of football than them. I think in terms of pure footballing terms, we really do play them off the park, and that was evidenced in the first leg, right? The number of they didn't have a single shot on goal the entire game. We arguably should have won that by a much larger margin, were it not for some just dismal finishing from our star player. But I don't see why we can't do something similar to that again. I don't expect the same level of domination, of course, because as Miko said, we're playing at the Wanda Metropolitano, and their home record is night and day compared to their away record, which is just dismal. But still, football is football, and regardless of these things, when two teams match up and they are so stylistically kind of anachronistic with one another, and one style is arguably just much better at certain things, then I think those discrepancies show regardless of whether you're playing home or away. So I think we'll get our chances. I like to think we might score one this time, one or two this time. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it'll be quite cagey. The one thing that we need to absolutely avoid is conceding early, like within the first 20 minutes or so. If we can avoid that, then I think we should be pretty safe to go through, or at least hold them. As you mentioned, my pick is 1-1, but I can easily see a nil all as well. But yeah, having said that, when you say something like you just cannot concede in the first 20 minutes, that in itself just makes you nervous, right? So obviously got to be sharp, got to be careful, and anytime you need to be sharp and careful, it's something that weighs on you. So it's something that adds pressure. So aside from that, I think it'll be a tense game.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to what we talked about a couple episodes ago, but the PTSD of Inter fans is real, right? I mean, we are so wired to be skeptical based on our recent history that I think it's hard for us to sometimes keep the reality and keep the perspective in our head when we're talking about this club. And we have been absolutely dominant this season, with a few lapses here and there. the first match against Atletico, we've talked a few times about how the only thing we regret was that we didn't score more goals. I mean, we could have won 3-0 instead of 1-0. And with all of that said, and with the way Atletico's been playing recently, if you were trying to look at this objectively, you would be fairly confident. You would think that we're going into this match. We gave them nothing in that first match. I mean, they did nothing. And we were worried about some injuries to like Taram, and to Acerbi and some other players like Hakan also. And it looks like all of them will be back for this match. And we should be able to start, our starting 11. And we were able to give some key players some rest during this weekend's match against Bologna too. So going into this, like, I don't know, it's every part of me wants to be supremely confident because I believe in this team. I believe in the way we attack. I believe in the way we defend. I have no reason to see Atletico as being some offensive powerhouse that's going to come out and overwhelm us in any capacity. To me, logically speaking, the only question is what approach are we going to take to this match? Is Inzaghi going to go out there and, try to defend the 1-0 lead and just be kind of in fortress mode lockdown? Or is he going to try to treat this as like a 0-0? He's going to go out and we're going to play our game. We're going to play our match. We're going to attack the way we attack. We're going to be opportunistic. And we're going to go out and just put in a great performance. It just, for me, it should really just come down to that. And yet, even as I'm saying all this, it's hard for me to completely let go and say, yes, I'm confident and we're going to win. There's no reason why we shouldn't win. If we don't win, it will be a disappointment. And we should dispatch them, at the end with an aggregate scoreline not of 1-0. It should be, 3-0 or 3-1. And yet it's hard for me to say that. But I think if we put our kind of PTSD aside, like we should really go into this as heavy favorites. I mean, Atletico's no joke, but we are, I think, significantly better than that team. And we just have to show it when we go and play.
Yeah, and we are heavy favorites from a betting perspective. Like, we are heavy favorites. It's the reality of it. But I think every Inter fan is keenly aware of the pitfalls here of we only have a 1-goal cushion. Away goals aren't a thing anymore. And all it takes is Atletico getting an early lead, and we're starting from scratch on this thing, which is maybe why the first leg was so disappointing that we didn't quite get more out of the match. But yeah, we are heavy favorites, Irfan. That's no doubt about it. But it's a precarious situation. It's it's a thin margin, and I think that's why people are nervous. Do you guys have any like the biggest change from the home leg to the away leg is probably going to be Morata starting? Do you guys agree? Like that's everyone talks about how great he's been this season, how he's a more clinical player, how he's finishing better in front of the nets. He obviously didn't start against us. He ended up coming in off the bench. So as I look for like ways this could go awry against Atletico, I think that's probably my number one item on my list is Morata goes up, links up with Griezmann, or just overall is a good game that we didn't see in the first leg. What do you think, Miko?
Yeah, I think Morata is definitely he's an improvement to Atletico side because I don't know who were they playing as a strikers against us. Was it just Griezmann?
Lorente started as a striker, I believe, but he's normally a right wing back.
Yeah, so it's a bit different when you can add a Morata there. So it's gonna be more difficult to our defense to contain him because I remember he had this one chance against us right in the end, like 88th minute or something, when he had this header. It was maybe a deep cross to our box and like a diagonal, and he managed to connect it, but wasted it on the outside the post.
Morata's aerial threat is the big thing here, especially considering we've been previously quite vulnerable to aerial balls, and I think we've all remarked a couple of times, I can't believe how many headers we let the opposition win. And so that's what Morata's going to bring. But at the same time, it's likely that Griezmann won't be fit for the game. So,
yeah,
it's kind of like a give and take as far as their weapons.
I saw that he's going to be available. Did you see something that's saying he's not going to be? I know he
I,
did pick up that knock, but I read he was going to be available when I was poking around earlier.
Right. Well, he didn't. He wasn't even called up for the game that they lost yesterday against
Okay.
Cadiz. So I don't know. I thought Simeone said that he might not make it, or that he might start on the bench or whatever. But either way, he's not
Okay.
going to be
Anyway, sorry.
100% fresh. So yeah. Do you prefer to play Atleti with Morata and with no Griezmann, or vice versa? I mean, either way, we should be grateful that they're missing quite a big player, one way or the other. So yeah, let's make that work in our favor. Griezmann was pretty much marked out of the game, but as Miko mentioned, Morata, even if he is marked out of the game, he can always pop up and score a header or something. So yeah, just got to make sure that we're tight to our marking, especially on the aerial balls and crosses.
An
yeah,
Atletico fun fact for you: they have not scored in 5 of their last 8 games, which is once again, I just feel like if
Can't
you
relate.
can't relate, sincerely, a goal in every league game this year. But this is, I just feel it's critical. If we get 1 goal, we're through, in my opinion. I just don't see how Atletico get us for 2. Frankly, it's
yeah.
even them getting 1 might be a stretch, but yeah, Miko, go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what's the approach like. Was it Irfan? You said how we gonna start this match? I feel like it should be started with the goal difference in mind, like as if we are leading 1-0, because I don't see any reason why we should leave any space for Atletico to use, since I don't see them playing around us and create great chances all over the place if we like defend as a team.
But if we
No,
sit deep,
not
if we sit deep, that
yeah,
plays into his weak. That plays into Morata's strengths because they can just
yeah,
bombard
yeah,
crosses into the box for him. And I
yeah.
I would bet on him winning at least a couple of those headers over a Cherry, Bastoni, whatever. And Pavard's been pretty weak in the air recently, and like that chance that led to Goodmanson's open goal miss against Genoa was from Retegui winning a header with Pavard static, and then likewise there was a couple of games before that as well that Pavard was not there on the aerial ball, so maybe it was Roma or something. But I am not comfortable with us just sitting deep and letting them cross into the box for Morata, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting like sitting deep, but like playing it in a way that we don't leave any space behind. Just play our game, but not like fully committing to the cause, which is like scoring a goal. Like don't commit to that, like as if that's the only thing what matters here. Like
Basically, you mean do the second half against Bologna, 0 shots.
no. That's the other. That's like a other side of the spectrum there. I think we played like that against Atletico in the first leg. Like we absolutely need to score the goal now. So, and then we completely dominated them. But I wouldn't do that against Atletico in an away match unless we can do that with ease without like burning too much of our energies doing that. If we can pull that off, and they don't fight back enough, of course we should do that. But I don't believe that's the case in this match. But let's see. It's gonna be interesting. What's the approach from the start? Also from Atleticos, because they need the goal. So it's gonna be interesting what they're gonna do from the start. Do they like try to come hard, or do they play it cautiously and try to avoid conceding, because like Andrew said, that's probably game over if they concede a goal, especially if they concede first. So it's gonna be interesting. The dynamics is really delicate at the start. How it's gonna play out.
Yeah, can't wait for this match. This is, yeah, the season's really on the line here in a sense because, like I said, this had the starts. I really want a deep run in the Champions League this year. I might be being greedy, might be asking for a lot, but it just feels like this is the Inter team that can make some noise, make some magic happen. And I keep going back to a point Sterling made once again on previous podcasts. Is when was the last time we knocked out like a European elite, just a brand name European team out of the Champions League? Milan doesn't count. Benfica doesn't count. This would probably be Inzaghi's most impressive dual leg Champions League performance since joining Inter, if he's able to pull this off. So I think we can dive into some predictions. Irfan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, in line with my attempt to bring myself into this confident mentality that I feel like we should all be in, I'm going to go with a 2-0 Inter or a 0-2 Inter win for an aggregate scoreline of 3-0 Inter, and we advance.
Wow, you're going at it.
Miko, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go. Yeah, let's stay very optimistic, but I'm not gonna go that far. I think I'm gonna go with 1-2 Inter. Yeah, 1-2 Inter. We're gonna score first, and then Atletico will equalize, but it's not gonna be enough, and we scored the winning goal more towards the end of the match. That's my prediction.
So Miko predicts that we're going to spend the entire match on the edge of the couch, about to have a heart attack, thinking we're going to be knocked out.
Something like that, yeah.
Jay, we already know your prediction, but you can, before we switch to your betting tips, you can just elaborate on it if you'd like.
Not much to elaborate that I haven't already said. Like I said, I think it'll be tense. I think it'll be low scoring, and that eventually will get a goal. But I think they'll equalize, and yeah, the last. I think they'll equalize around. Sorry, I think we'll win the first half. We'll score in the first. They'll score in the second, and then the last 30, 40 minutes will be super tight. But we'll just sneak through.
Well, I already went to the bank this week, took out a second mortgage, and put it all on Jay's hot betting tips. Lock me in for the 1-1, and once that hits, I'll be retired from my job.
Any financial ruin that comes upon you or your family, I take no responsibility for. Any loan sharks come knocking at your door, threatening physical harm upon you or your loved ones, I take no responsibility. But I do want to ride in your sick new Lamborghini Aventador. So, let's. You know what? I don't really care what happens with the predictions. Let's just get through this bloody game. I want to get to the next round. As you guys said, the league is so kind of wrapped up at this point that it's almost, it'd almost be like not a disappointing season, obviously, but it would be exponentially better if we managed to get to the next round of the Champions League as well. So I'm really hoping for that.
Yes, as champions elect for the Scudetto, there's a lot riding on us getting through here. And also, put me on record, I'm going to give Pavar his first goal of the season. It's time. So before we wrap up, we can transition to our newest and greatest segments, Jay's Hot Betting Tips. Jay, what do you have for the audience this week?
So I kind of made the mistake of debuting the segment with a prediction for a match that was probably too far ahead. So I'll try to keep it relevant in future for matches that are a bit closer. So I have two steaming hot takes. The first one is for the Europa League, actually. Slavia Praha against Milan. I'm betting that Slavia will win the game 3-2, but that means Milan will obviously go through, having won the first leg 4-2. The other prediction I have is for the game tomorrow, Lazio against Udinese. I'm saying that Udinese pull off a shock win, 1-0, and Lazio go home empty-handed from the Friuli.
Miko, any thoughts on Jay's predictions?
Sounds good. Totally possible. Even probable.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, anytime Milan's losing, that's good. Anytime Lazio's losing, that's great. So these are a little bit self-serving, I guess, in my view, but I support these betting tips.
Everyone is rooting for Milan to go as far as possible in the Europa League until losing the final, just to rub salt in their wounds while building up the Italian league coefficients, right?
That's exactly
Absolutely.
right.
All right, well, we'll be back next week with the Atletico recap as well as a Napoli preview, and then we've got an international break, so hopefully Arnautovic actually has some time to recover. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Catch you later.
All right, see ya. Let's go Inter.
See ya. Bye.